Hello, this is Ben Roberts again, lead convener and host of the Now What Global Gathering on the art of being fully human in a time of crisis. And this is my welcome to week six message to you all. Week six being the last of the 6 weeks of this edition of Now What. And just wanted to take a little time to highlight some of the things that took place in the past week, some of what's coming up this week, and to talk a bit about the Now What gift economy and the Now What collective. So we just wrapped up the fifth week of Now What that featured what we called Sonic Spring, an Earth Day celebration that emerged out of the Now What collective, the group of people that have stepped forward to share responsibility for inviting and convening and hosting and designing this edition of Now What. And this was just a wonderful and unexpected co-creation with all kinds of different dimensions, including this 24-hour live stream audio player that's still up and running and evolving apparently on an ongoing basis. So all of this is under the Sonic Spring tab now on the Now What website, nowwhat2020.com. And in addition to that, if you look back at the calendar from last week, all of this in pink and in yellow um, is what took place over the course of 48 hours of engagement, beginning just after midnight in New Zealand and concluding with a late night, the sunset over Hawaii, and then a Sonic Spring Cafe just after midnight on Midway Island, which is the last place where a calendar day happens on the planet. So thank you so much to everybody that contributed to that in the thinking, in the designing, and in all the different aspects in creating all these calls and experiences. There's quite a bit that's available on the harvest section of the Now What website, in particular the video harvest on the Now What YouTube channel or playlist. And you get to that from the main website under Participate is Harvest, or on the homepage. You can also just scroll down and find the little YouTube icon. Interesting that it's over there now, but that will also take you to the playlist. And we're up to well over 30 videos, I think maybe getting close to 40 videos that have been compiled over the course of Now What, and you can see the ones in particular that were tied to the Sonic Spring right here, as well as a few more that have showed up. Another thing that we had last week and the week before, and that just concluded earlier today, were the Indigenous Voices calls, convened by Mark Thibault with four Indigenous leaders who just had some wonderful offerings of wisdom and observations and questions for us. So really grateful to that group. Another thing we had last week were the series of calls coming from Climate Change and Consciousness, starting with the Power of the Gift of Unity, Indigenous Teachings, and then continuing with two calls over the weekend, and another one that I believe has already taken place today on embodying the inner climate. But we also have an anniversary celebration coming up this week on Wednesday of climate change and consciousness and its relationship with Now What, with the two initiatives really kind of in a lovely relationship of mutual support and co-evolution. And let's see, other things to highlight for the coming week. Well, of course, we still have the Now What cafes. So the first of those was earlier today. We have one tomorrow in the evening, my time here on the East Coast, Wednesday in midday East Coast time, and early in the morning, Thursday, again, East Coast time. And you go to the Now What calendar, and you can find all of these as soon as you click on one of these, it opens up and it will be in your local time. Would love to see in particular the Now What cafes really blossom into the lively space that they're designed to be. We had 10 people in the cafe earlier today and 3 conversations going in parallel. Here under Participate in the Cafe tab, you can see this week's menu of conversations, which always includes your item here, the invitation to add any conversation or other activity you want to invite on these calls. And and other things that will be on the menu for you to choose, and you can move around among the conversation spaces that we set up there. A great thing to invite friends to as well, and certainly, even though we're in the final week of Now What, this is a fine time to come and participate, even for the first time. If you've been thinking about joining some of the calls or engaging in other ways, and have been lurking on the sidelines, please do consider joining us. The other thing I want to highlight are the two closing gathering calls. So these are on Thursday, at least in the calendar day here in the US East Coast, one in the morning, one in the evening. Again, click these and you'll find it in your local time. So this would be afternoon in Europe, for example, is the first of those calls, and a few other calls that have been added in by different partners in some of the engagement streams. Speaking of engagement streams, we have two others that are still ongoing. Journeys into the More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible wraps up tomorrow. That's Tuesday. And the Prophecy of the Great Brightening also has been a wonderful journey with Rick Feltington and his mythic oral storytelling and opportunity to experientially embody the story that he offers on Tuesdays and sometimes Thursdays, but I think not this week. So tomorrow will be the last of those sessions, and I strongly encourage you to check out both of those, as well as the Active Hope support group based on Joanna Macy's work that Lydia Violet Hartunian has been offering. And we have a new session, Sowing the Seeds of a New World, on the Seeds Initiative, a very interesting experiment in I believe, digital autonomous organizations and alternative currencies. We have a book review, or a book, kind of a book opening, a virtual book tour on the book Emergency, The Citizen's Guide to Climate Success with Dr. Marc Jacquard. And also a new addition to the calendar just got on here, Surviving the Future, Conversations for Our Time, which is a student field trip to Now What that might have quite a large number of students on it who will be new to our whole space. So even as we're wrapping up, things are still arriving and flowing in. For those of you interested in the gift economy that I'll talk about, we have some organizing calls over the next 3 days as well around activating that. And with that, let me move into talking a little bit about that element of things. On the Now What website, if you go to participate, you'll find gift economy, and it's also linked to now right at the top of the home page here, support the gift economy. So there's a page that tells you a little bit about this. There is a link to the Open Collective Financial Platform where you can make a financial gift if you wish to do so. Certainly not required by anyone, and many of us will also be receiving financial support for our participation or offerings here. We have two videos up here now as well. One that is about the gift economy and different ways that we might activate it, both the financial element and non-financial elements involving gifts and the receipt of offers of time, of skills, of connections, etc. So you can get an overview of what this is all about there. And here's a testimonial from Claire Heaton and Christiana Gardicchiotti about the value of Now What that they've experienced during this edition and past ones as well. So I encourage you to check that out. Really very sweet words of acknowledgement there from those two women. And I think the last thing to say again is just, how much gratitude I have for everyone who's been a part of this so far, even if all you did, and I say all, really in air quotes, because putting yourself onto this network map, and here's now how it's evolved over time, is itself an enormous gift to say these are the people who we're connected to, who care about this, who are interested. And again, there's a video on how to use this map that you can find if you're unsure about exactly how it works. But you can zoom in, you can click on different people, find out more about them, contact them, and then all the orange that you see, you might want to find yourself. So you can do a search right here, put in your own name, and see if there are people who say that they want to meet you. So you select yourself, you click focus, and then you go up one arrow to expand that focus, and you might see that there's some orange lines. It's a little bit confusing with mine, but many people have used the option to indicate there's someone I would like to meet, and there may be someone who says they want to meet you, that you might want to click on their profile. You can find their email and then go ahead and connect with them. In fact, in general, as Now What wraps up, This map remains as a resource, as does the harvest. I'll just go back to that for a second. Again, under participate, also linked to on the main page. I know it's a bit of a labyrinth finding your way around all this, but here's another link to the harvest. And we have this in 4 different forms. And there's still an opportunity to add to all of this. So text-based notes or short little comments about your experience in a particular conversation or in general around NowWhat. We've collected some of those, and you can see what's been submitted here. But it's also very much an opportunity still at this point to reflect back on what your NowWhat experience has been and submit some of your ideas. You can click right here to add it. If you have an entire set of notes from a conversation, or you want to write something longer than a set of short little jewels, then you could write something up and upload it to this Google Drive folder. If it's a resource, written materials, videos, courses, conferences, you can submit them here, and you can see what's been submitted here. And you can also look through the individual profiles on the network map, because many people offer those as one of the 3 gifts that we highlighted. I already shared with you the video harvest. There's lots of material to look at there. One of my favorite things I'll just point you to is this particular piece. Listen, the Sonic Spring offering. So this came out of our Sonic Spring conversations and is a very playful offering of sound and song and Earth Day related themes. But there's so much else that's there that's valuable. And then, maybe my favorite thing of all is the NowWhat music playlist, which you can listen to here. Even if you don't have a Spotify account, it'll just go to shuffle play, I think. And if you wanted to add music to that, if you hadn't made a suggestion and you still want to do that, I don't know what we're up to now, 86 songs and counting. And it's just been a delightful way to feel like I'm part of a larger field of connection that I recommend to you quite highly. So yeah, so all this continues even when this edition of NowWhat ends. And perhaps we'll even leave the NowWhat calendar available so that if people want to continue to use that as a place to promote things, in the category of partner and member calls, that green category that's on the calendar. See the different green events here. There's really no reason why this tool can't continue to be available. It's the same calendar we used in October and November, and that I imagine we'll be using again when the next edition pops up, which will be sometime around that, late September, October, November timeframe. And if you're interested in supporting that future edition, that's where the next iteration of the NowWhat Collective will also be taking on a new level, I think, of shared ownership and in the design and the convening of NowWhat, so that maybe the next time we look at a network map for the next edition, instead of there being this one guy who's so obviously in the center of things, there maybe will be 3 or 4 or 5 of these sort of central nodes that come together. And I think that when that happens, we could see an exponential leap in the power and the dynamism and the flow of resources that are generated through this gathering. Which is not to say in any way that what we've experienced so far in these past 6 weeks has been anything other than certainly for me an absolute joy and delight and tremendous gift. So with that, I look forward to seeing all of you on some of the remaining Zoom calls for this session and to connecting in other ways on an ongoing basis. Thank you so much for your time and attention.